The room is vibrating. The volume is maxed out, the commentators are shouting themselves hoarse, and every eye is locked on the screen with attention so thick you could cut it. Something important is happening. And yet, inside you, there is no spark, no pull, no sudden rush of adrenaline. Just a quiet, slightly awkward awareness that you are watching a ritual meant for someone else. You aren't bored in the traditional sense. You understand the rules, you know who's winning. But emotionally, the signal simply doesn't land. It's like listening to a language you recognize but don't dream in. In that moment, a question usually creeps in. Is something wrong with me? Why does everyone else seem so alive right now while I feel completely untouched? If you've ever felt like an alien in a room full of fans, you aren't deficient. You're just wired for a different kind of meaning. We spend our time on this channel deconstructing the quiet patterns of the human mind that usually go unnamed. If that sounds like your kind of conversation, hit the subscribe button now and join us. Let's figure out why that tribal switch in your brain stays flipped off. 1. The ancient wiring, the tribal switch. To understand why sports hold a tectonic grip on the masses, we have to look at our ancestors. For 99% of human history, survival was a team sport. Your tribe was your life insurance. If your group won the hunt or defended the territory, you lived. If they lost, you died. Modern sports are a biological hack for this ancient wiring. They offer a safe, socially sanctioned way to activate the us versus them mechanism. When a team wins, the fan's brain floods with dopamine and testosterone, the same neurochemistry as a victorious warrior. But here's the insight. The us versus them switch isn't broken in you. It's just more selective. For some, geography or family tradition is enough to flip the switch. For others, the threshold is higher. You require shared values, shared creation, or reciprocal loyalty to feel tribal. You're not being cynical, you're being discerning. You're asking, what exactly am I being asked to attach to here? And if the answer is just a logo and a jersey, your nervous system remains offline. 2. The childhood imprint, safety versus noise. Our reaction to sports is often forged long before we reach adulthood. For some, a loud house meant a celebration. Saturdays were for bonding. For others, raised voices in high-decibel environments didn't signal fun, they signaled tension or conflict. If you grew up in an environment where safety was found in deep focus, your nervous system learned to regulate itself through depth, not volume. You may have learned early on that emotional investment in things you cannot control, like a ball hitting a net, is risky. Your brain chose agency over spectacle. You'd rather spend energy on things you can influence. 3. The theory of cognitive real estate. The human brain has limited cognitive real estate. There is only so much room for deep investment. Being a true fan isn't passive, it's an intellectual task. It requires tracking rosters, histories, stats, and rivalries. For many of us, that archive is already full. While others are memorizing batting averages, you might be mapping out a code base, mastering an instrument, or deconstructing a complex philosophy. Your disinterest isn't a lack of focus, it's a concentration of focus. Your passion slot is simply occupied by a different game, one that doesn't reset every season. 4. Mirror neurons and chosen heroes. There is a neurological reason people flinch when an athlete falls. Mirror neurons. These cells fire when we watch someone else perform an action, allowing us to simulate the victory or the pain. But mirror neurons require identification. You have to see yourself in the person on the screen. If you don't identify with the archetype of the athlete, the simulation doesn't start. However, your mirror neurons aren't dead. They just light up elsewhere. They fire when you see a coder solve a logically impossible bug, or a writer find the perfect sentence, or a craftsman turn raw wood into art. The surge of vicarious triumph is the same. The target is just different. You didn't reject the thrill, you just chose different heroes. 5. The weight of micro-silences. In our culture, sports function as a social currency. When you don't have that currency, there's a social cost. You felt it, the micro-silence when you admit you didn't see the game, the look that says you're antisocial or trying to be different. This creates a quiet shame. We start to believe our neutrality is a defect. But neutrality is not judgment. Disinterest is not a lack of empathy. It's simply a mismatch between what a culture treats as meaningful and what actually resonates with your specific nervous system. Watching sports is a form of outward absorption. It's a beautiful, temporary escape. But for those of us who don't feel the pull, we find our flow state in inward absorption. While the stadium is roaring for a narrative someone else wrote, you are likely in your workshop, your office, or your own mind, writing a narrative of your own. You aren't standing outside of life watching it pass by. You are playing a different game, a longer game, one where the score isn't kept by a clock, but by the slow, steady progress of your own growth. So the next time the room erupts and you feel nothing, don't apologize. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's the sound of a mind that is busy building something else. If this articulated something you've felt but couldn't name, let me know in the comments. What is the game you're playing instead of sports? Where does your attention naturally go? And if you found value in this deep dive, subscribe to the channel. We're building a community for the curious, the misaligned, and the ones who prefer the long game. Thanks for watching.